Hey everyone, Nick here again, back to talk about Fear the Walking Dead. This is my review of episode 7 of season 4. And I'm just going to address right now, there is road work going on right outside my house, so if you hear anything like that, then that's what that is. And if you don't hear anything, then pretend I didn't say any of this, just completely disregard. As for the show, I would say that this episode was decent, but not perfect. I will start with the positives. In this episode, we got to see a new side of Negan, which is what I have dubbed the bad guy on this show, because he's clearly trying to be Negan. But yeah, we actually got some more layers to him in this episode. He actually seems to be more of an anti-villain than an outright villain, because he was in there actually trying to warn Madison about the real threat, his brother Ennis, which is the one that Nick impaled on the deer antlers in the episode where Nick was killed. So I thought that was interesting. It shows he's not really too bad of a guy, maybe. Although, to be fair, I think there is probably some more information we don't have yet that will make him just look flat out villainous again. But yeah, it was interesting to see a different side of him. Another positive thing about this episode was Althea finally being used more to her full potential. Well, closer to her full potential. I mean, she was actually being used in this episode, and I was saying in a previous review that she's just kind of starting to be little more than the driver. But in this episode, she got more to do, and once again, she looked really cool. So, I was very happy about that. And obviously, I still think there is more for her to do, but it was interesting seeing her pick a side in the fight. And she chose the side against the original cast, which was very unexpected. And the ending of this episode, in both timelines, was really exciting. In the past timeline, when all the trucks roll up at the stadium, that was kind of reminiscent to me of when the governor rolled up to the prison in the season 4 mid-season finale of the main show, and we're about to get the season 4 mid-season finale here, so you know, there may be some things in common with the two. So yeah, I'm really interested to see where that goes. Obviously, it's not going to go anywhere good, because in the present timeline, our OG cast are not okay. And also in the present timeline, the stadium is completely overrun by zombies that were charred. I'm guessing they were, because they were covered in oil, which I actually didn't even pick up on when I was watching the episode. I know Strand outright said they're covered in oil, but that just didn't register with me. So yeah, they're gonna walk through those flames, and they're gonna be flaming walkers that are gonna try to burst into the stadium and appear to succeed. So yeah, that was intense, and I think that it has set up a pretty exciting mid-season finale. Now I want to talk about how the good guys on this show are starting to look a little too villainous. Now, that is not to say that there can't be some gray in there, some morally gray areas. In fact, that's preferable. That makes it more interesting. But they, in particular Alicia, are starting to look just a little too far gone. Namely in the fact that Alicia killed Negan, and the way that she did it as well. I mean, first she tried to blow him up, then she saw that he was alive, and she personally impaled him with her sharp gun silencer thing. Like I said, we don't really have all the information yet with what happened, but the fact is, Negan did try to warn them about what was going to happen. So why did she kill him? And Naomi also was trying to warn them that it wasn't safe at the stadium. So why did Alicia try to kill her? It was just... Gray is one thing, but when you get a little too far to one side, it becomes a little too unsavory. I mean, for me, it was starting to look a little bit like towards the end of Season 8 of The Walking Dead when Rick and Morgan slaughtered all the saviors that were helping them. I mean, I made perfectly clear that that was not okay with me. I wouldn't say that what Alicia has done so far is quite on that level, particularly since we don't have all the information yet, but I'm a little worried that maybe they might be crossing the line a little too far, and they might not be able to come back. Also, I want to talk about the opening shootout of the episode, where everyone had full-blown stormtrooper aim. In particular, the vultures. I mean, there were a lot of them. And it was all of them versus Alicia, Strand, and Luciana. And yet not one of the vultures could hit them. And it took a while, also, for one of the main cast to hit anybody at all. Like, they couldn't shoot each other from 10 feet away, but Alicia could blow up the ambulance that Negan was driving away in. I mean, do you know how a grenade launcher works? You gotta arc the aim. I mean, if it was an RPG, that'd be one thing. It'd shoot straight for quite a while, but no, she had a grenade launcher, and you gotta arc it the right way. So, yeah, it's just kind of all over the place with their aiming. Literally and figuratively. As far as them starting to make Charlie, the little girl that killed Nick, seem sympathetic, and maybe even trying to integrate her into Morgan's group. Now, that does seem questionable on the surface because of what she did, but last season, Taka, or Walker, or whatever, the leader of the Native American tribe, they killed Travis. Like, I don't know if Taka was personally the one that fired the shot that killed Travis, but they were responsible. His group, he was the leader, his group, he's responsible for Travis's death. And yet, despite that, he integrated with the show for a while, and he became a moderately popular character. I still see people saying, "Are we ever going to see Taka again? He was a cool character." And I'm not going to lie, after a while he did kind of grow on me. It's just, my point is that Charlie becoming sympathetic and being made sympathetic, it's not as unlikely as it seems. I mean, granted, the circumstances are a little more... they're different, to say the least. Since Travis was just kind of caught in the crossfire, whereas Charlie intentionally and directly killed Nick. But it's just, my point is, it's not impossible. I'm just interested to see where they go with it. The best performance in this episode for me, surprisingly, I'm going to give this one to Kevin Zegers. He brought some interesting layers to Negan. He made him an interesting character, and maybe not as bad as we thought. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. But, you know, he's dead now, so we're probably not going to get too many more layers. Just whatever flashbacks we get of him next week, that'll probably be it. But yeah, Kevin Zegers really did a good job this week. I'm going to give this episode a 7 out of 10. Overall, it was solid, but this whole season so far has been really good. And so, in comparison to the rest, for me, this was easily the weakest episode of the season. But with what it's set up for next week, that might be one of the best episodes of this show, if they do it right. I mean, the mid-season 4 finale of The Walking Dead is one of the best episodes of the show, if not the best. So, you know, maybe... I don't know if it'll be as good as that episode. That was a masterpiece. But maybe 408 for Fear the Walking Dead will go down in history as one of the best on this show. And also, I think it's time for some answers. I mean, I was willing to wait a half season because I expected it would take a half season to get some answers. And that's fine. But next week, we need some answers. We need to know if Madison's alive, and we need to know exactly what happened to make Alicia and the others so practically feral in terms of how aggressive they are. It's time for some answers in that regard, I think. Well, that'll do it for this video. I'll see you next time.